This is No Movies in Hell.
I'm LaClaw Scott, and we are reviewing Squid Games, Season 1.
Season 1. That's right, because they just got approved for Season 2.
Yes, the highest viewed or the most viewed TV show on Netflix.
That's
consistently.
insane.
Yes. And it's great. Like, how did you find out about it?
Netflix recommends. Netflix thinks you might like. Netflix.
Right.
Well, but I do watch a lot of Korean shows already, so I feel like that
you're part of the
why it would recommend it to me. I don't know why it would recommend it to other people.
Yes. So it's interesting because I was trying to think about Netflix is very big data heavy, and obviously they know what you are watching and what is your appeal. So for me, I haven't watched any Korean films or television shows on Netflix. Yeah, I think, Parasite, I saw in the movie theater. Like, all of our actual viewing of Korean films is in a separate, either on Criterion or a different, like our Amazon Prime. But there was a film that I watched, I want to say in January of 2020, called The Platform. And it's a Spanish film about social inequality. And that's where, if you do sci-fi and social inequality, then, that you got me. So I turned, some day in September, I turned on my Netflix and saw that Squid Games was at the top, and like how I think they just had the images and the imagery of like the players, the like the guards, and then it had a synopsis, and I was like, okay, I'm sold. Like, what is going to happen here? Especially episode 1. And I think I binge watch episode 1 and 2 because they do such a great job of like editing so that you have to watch the next episode.
If you like social inequality movies, you should see New Order. I know you don't.
Yes. Drama. That's on my list. I saw it. Actually, I saw the trailer for New Order when I saw Parasite, and then it was in the theaters, like at IFC, for like a hot minute. And now it's on Amazon Prime. So actually, I am going to watch it on Amazon Prime.
Okay, we can do an episode on that because I saw it when it was in theaters, and it's intense, but good.
Okay.
All right, but I won't say anything else now. So Squid Games, I thought that Netflix was recommending it to me because I watch a lot of Korean stuff. And then people started talking about it, like, oh, Squid Games, I'm watching, and I was like, wow. Why are so many people watching this? I mean, I know where Korean pop culture stuff is having like this major minute with all the K-pop and, Parasite and maybe, but I think Netflix is putting just a ton of money behind its Korean market. Or I don't know. I don't know. Is Netflix big in the Korean market though? When I was over there, it didn't seem. I don't know. Like when I was watching,
is there a Netflix Korea?
I think they have a Korean division. Like when I was over there, it still recognizes me as being based in the US. But when I was there for 6 weeks, but when I came back, it switched over. Like I don't know how, because I didn't change any of my settings, but it somehow wanted to show me everything in Korean with English subtitles. And so I was like, I don't know how this happened, because I was still watching US shows when I was in Korea, because
maybe there's a delay. And
I don't know.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. But, Netflix is making a huge investment, or has been making a huge investment in Korean language content. So it made sense to me that they would spend money on this. And I do think it has definitely a lot of crossover. There's the social inequity part of it, but there's also the sort of Hunger Games element. And there's also, right. So if you've watched Hunger Games, you might like Squid Games. And if you watch Battle Royale, or if yeah, like anything, I would say if you watched anything in the Asian cinema realm, If you've watched anything dystopian, if you watched anything, like it hits so many popular buttons right now. So it does make sense that it would be very popular. That it would be the most popular seems crazy though.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and also I think that there's an element of gamification, right? You get emotionally invested in these characters, just like you get emotionally invested in some of the characters in game shows. And so it really is like a meta lens of like, these people are participating, and almost like you're in the VIP seat when watching it, which is really wild. But like, I thought it was interesting after, the second episode when they start talking about, and they start telling the stories, the behind the scenes stories of each of these characters about how they ended up in this situation. I was like, oh no, we're getting too emotionally invested in these folks. And there's literally only going to be one winner. And so this is going to be very heartbreaking. Like, we're going to see a lot of things happen with these people that we really care about. It just really makes you think of, if this were to happen in real life, and there's all of a sudden there's roughly 500 people that are missing that owed lots of people money, would your creditors like go after you or try to find out what's happening instead of just like the one detective that tries to do so? It's interesting. It reminds me of like so much social brutalism. Like, we're solving a problem instead of helping people. It's like we're making them compete for money. And unfortunately, some questions are not answered in the beginning and it results in death. So it's like literally like getting rid of poor people. They're sacrificing themselves for the greater good. And in the series, we see that, people don't end up spending the money. You're traumatized. There's a lot of trauma involved with trying to make sure that you stay alive. And then it's the reminder of, you get X amount, you guys are worth X amount of money. It's like, well, just give them the money then.
I definitely feel like there's a number of things going on in the setup, right? So one is that you find out all the backstories of the people and how they got there, which is just like anyone could get here, right? Like everyone has a story, so anyone could show up in this scenario. Maybe not everyone would go into the game itself, but anyone could get into debt the way that these people have. Like, Sang-woo has embezzled funds, and the girl who has her brother in the orphanage, she has creditors, but she's young, right? She didn't run up a ton of debt. She just happened to be in this unfortunate situation. There's the gangster. There's the woman who takes out the gangster, Ji-hun, who gets there because he gambles. Yeah. And everyone has a story, which is like the great equalizer. Although you never really find out the guy who has the brain tumor. You don't really, his backstory a little, that he has a brain tumor, but you don't find out like why he owes everyone money. You just think You just think that it's because he has medical bills.
Yeah.
Or because he doesn't really care about.
He runs the game.
Right. I know. Well, that's why you don't find out his backstory on money, because he doesn't have one. He didn't make one up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting to me from a social perspective, but also the way that they sort of get, it seems like it's this very serious thing, and it is this very serious thing, right? They're out on some island where apparently there's no government supervision of this island, or if there is, they've bribed whoever is supervising it. They've been doing it for years. The police officer is looking for his brother, so that's how he wanders into this thing, but he makes surprisingly poor decisions.
I agree.
Throughout. I feel like that perhaps he should go back to police training, or I don't know. But just like many times in the process, I was like, why? No rational person in this situation would make that decision.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
Especially when he like decides to be one of the soldiers. It's like, no, it's so weird. Oh, I was gonna say, but also like, what was the incentive for the like the watchers? Like, were they former people who, I mean, obviously they're not people who won, but you know, like, what is their incentive? Are they getting paid for this? Like, how are they involved other than, you know, they keep everybody in line?
When you say the watchers, do you mean the guard, like the
Yeah, the
people in the
guards.
pink jumpsuits?
Mm-hmm.
They're getting paid. I think they're just like security people that got hired.
Yeah.
But that's another, like, when we talk about the Silent Sea, I like the other side stories that sort of feed the main story. But here, the side stories were a little bit distracting in that they pulled you out of the main a little bit. Like the police detective definitely pulled me out. Every time I saw him, I was like, what is he doing? But I guess it's not necessarily a bad thing, especially because there's going to be a season 2, and I have a feeling we're going to see that guy again. But the organ harvesting,
Yes.
side
subplot.
story, I was like, that's so let's talk about the guards then. So you're a guard, you're in this very weird situation. I have to imagine you're exceptionally well compensated as a guard.
I would hope
Because
so.
you are on this island and you're shooting people and you're not going to presumably tell anyone.
Yeah.
So you must be well compensated. But on top of that, you are going to risk being shot yourself. You see people being shot all the time.
Yep.
You are going to risk being shot yourself in order to create this side underground business where there are closed circuit cameras everywhere on the island of organ harvesting.
Yep.
And they say that they're not, the guy with the black mask says, I don't care what you do. If you want to eat the organs or you want to sell them, I don't care what you do with them. But the organ harvesting component jeopardizes the whole island. Like there's no way they're not going to come back on them if they find that these black market organs are showing up.
Yep.
So it didn't make sense to me that he would be aware of that happening. It didn't make sense to me that he wouldn't be aware of it happening. And that if he was aware of it happening, that he wouldn't care. Of course he would care.
Because it exposes the whole thing. It's like,
Right.
Oh, wait, where did these organs come from? And also, like, wouldn't they have had to take time off of work, like, you know, a week? And if you see people consistently going, you know, at work, like, oh, you know, Bob is gone for this whole week. I wonder what he's doing. He's gone. Oh, this is his week to go and vacation on that island there. Like, it's traceable.
And also they have those dive suits set up. But if you're unaware of this organ harvesting, the only reason you would have those dive suits is for the organ harvesters. They have boats that take everyone out, like their cars, and you know that you don't need both, or you don't need both. And then they leave the island in chasing the police officer.
Detective,
and they're all in their uniforms, like their pink jumpsuits and masks. It's like, well, who? I don't know if whatever the Coast Guard body is, but if they see you, that doesn't look normal.
Yeah. Oh, it's a huge scavenger hunt. Have fun, guys. And they just like.
Right. Oh, and they have a tracking device on the police officers' dive equipment. And they're in a boat with a motor, but they can't catch him. Like he still gets to the other side. Anyway, there's so many things that were weird about like this, but I still liked it.
I liked it. That was a huge plot hole there, but it felt like everything else was pretty consistent. Another like plot hole was the woman. I don't forgot what her name was, but the Defiant woman actually didn't get to play in one of the games and still advanced, which was bizarre because it's like No, everybody has to participate.
Well,
Or it
because
seemed like, everybody has
yeah,
to participate.
because the even number of players got thrown off because someone was accidentally killed. Which the other part was like, why did they let them have that sort of free for all at night?
Yep. They could have
If,
controlled it, but they didn't.
yeah, if everything is supposed to be fair, that doesn't make sense.
Yep.
So yeah. Yeah. And also I guess I wasn't clear on the rules. Like I thought whoever was left standing at the end of the last game got to split the money and go home. But then it seemed like no, we only expect one person to win all of the money. So I was
Yep.
like, did that change? Maybe I wasn't paying attention at the beginning.
Yeah. You know, I think they did show in the police detective when he went through some of the files that there have been instances that there have been more than one winner, but maybe they changed it for this particular year to be, I mean, I guess they, you know what, actually, they could have both walked away alive, but he chose not to.
Right.
He chose to kill his friend. So there could, I think there have been instances where there have been more than one either winner or the other person was alive.
Yeah, I don't know. It seemed like if Gihan had put his foot in the circle at the top, that they were ready to shoot Sangwoo. So if he lost, too bad, you're done. Just like every other game. So it does seem like they were framing it up so that there would only be one person left. But I guess that's a minor point. Let's pull up the slide.
Yeah.
Wow. We both give it 27?
Yeah, I'm shocked. I totally was not expecting this.
Me neither. We gave it the exact same ratings on everything.
I guess maybe we can, yeah. For me, everything was like aesthetically done really well. The costumes, the shots, like very intentional. The production was great. I've seen some behind the scenes of like a lot of things being green screen. So even that red light, green light was completely green screen from like a just white room, and that they reused that room for almost every single challenge. The second one where they have the cookie, and the third one where they had the tug of war, they used the same soundstage. So they got a lot out of very little. And it's a lot about proportionality too. So, making things look very big by having the camera down, making things look very small. They really utilize that space that they filmed everything in.
Wow.
So
that is funny because you think when you're watching it, like, this is a small island, but they have these massive games set up.
Yeah.
Where do they keep all this stuff? Why does no one notice from the outside? Like, hey, you know what? There's some buildings on that island that we thought was unpopulated.
Yeah, like if a helicopter, went through, flew over, they'd probably see some things. There's a lot of the actors are on Instagram, and they Instagram behind the scenes, and it's so funny because they're all like laughing and stuff, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. Oh my god.
That's funny. I should follow more of them from our account. Although I feel like our feed is full of a lot of Asian
films
feeds, and most of them, because the Instagram doesn't translate for you. So I don't know what most of them are, but so I thought the costumes were awesome. Like, we're gonna see those costumes forever. Like, they're iconic now.
Yep.
So props to you, whoever your costume designer was. Like, you're doing okay. The hair and makeup I thought was good, but just kind of average for this type of scenario. In the last game, where they wanted them to change into tuxedos.
Mm-hmm.
And that was because she goes in the bathroom and she pulls out that big thing that like
Yeah, that
big
shard
hunk
of glass. Yeah.
And so I'm assuming the other two got to go to the bathroom and clean up too, but they came out and there's still blood all over them.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, why wouldn't you just rinse that off?
I know. Maybe it was one of those things where they did go to the bathroom, but maybe they were too afraid to put their guards down, in order to address like cleaning up, because there's still that sense of competition. And I forgot the character's name, but he kills her essentially. I mean, he kills her, like, yeah. And it was just like that was like unfair competition. That happens when one goes to the bathroom. Does he go to the bathroom like by himself and then he comes back? So it's like you can't turn your back towards someone that is going out to get you. So you just try to do the best that you can.
Yeah. Well, that was interesting too, that they let them keep their knives.
Mm-hmm.
If the point of the Squid Games is we want to play these games because that's how we pass the time, right? That's the guy says at the end, like, it was the most fun I had was when I was with my friends and we were playing these games. And that's what I wanted again. But you don't get that if you let them just kill each other during the rest time. Similar to having the free for all at night in the beginning, like this seemed out of character because you got them all dressed up and now they're just waiting. And if they kill each other while they're waiting,
it wasn't a game.
You're done playing. Also, the side plot of where the police officer was taken into the smaller VIP room,
Mm-hmm.
like VIP guest. That was weird.
Yeah, very. Yeah, there couldn't have been instances where he was caught there,
Right. And also, why is that VIP room the only place where there's no camera?
Right.
And do you have these you have these smaller VIP rooms? The VIP room that they're in is pretty nice.
Mm-hmm.
The rooms that they sleep in, that they've set up for them, are like prison cells, but nicely finished out.
Yep.
But then there's this other weirdly decorated, like almost psychedelically decorated VIP room where you can just wander off and be unseen.
Yeah.
That was also hard to understand why there would be that. Yeah, many things, but still good. I'll watch the second season.
Mm-hmm.
I like a lot of the people the guy who plays Gihan, I had seen in, he's the main character in Chief of Staff, which is another Korean. There were several episodes of that series. And that was good. He plays a very different character though. He plays a government official who has everything very buttoned up and he's he's super smart and he basically out strategizes everyone else. To see him in this was very interesting. He has good range. And the girl who plays the pickpocket,
Mm-hmm.
I would watch her in something else for sure. So I think there are a lot of new favorites. The guy who plays Sang-woo, did you say you saw him in something else?
I don't think so.
Okay. But I would watch him in something else.
Yes.
Yeah. Did you have any other thoughts, feelings about Squid Games?
Yeah, looking forward to season 2. I hope that they keep, it keeps the ball rolling, like dyed his hair red, getting off the plane. He really needs to take care of his daughter. Maybe his daughter will go have like her own revenge story on the fact that her dad was gone for a week and missed her birthday and didn't keep his promises. I feel like it's very ingrained in the American culture to create a spin-off or something. And I really don't want that to happen. I really think that it's not like Westworld or something like that, where it's just like, oh, these different worlds pop up. Yes, there is a US Squid Games and this is how it's done. It's like, no, that's not going to work. I think culturally, they'll definitely have to do something different, but please just keep this in the confines of how it is the treatment, the subtlety, it's really great.
I did think it was interesting that they said the Squid Game, the kids really play in Korea. And after watching it, I feel like they should not let children play this game. It's even if they don't have knives, like it's very aggressive. But who knows? American Ninja, people watch that. So maybe there will be like a game show of like Squid Games.
Oh my gosh. I mean, there's Double Dare already. There's Wild and Crazy Kid, Nickelodeon stuff. And then there's also like Wipeout or American Gladiators, like that type of stuff. It's there.
I'm sure somebody's trying to put that together right now.
Oh, you know what they did? So there was a YouTuber who lives in, I think, the South. I want to say either North Carolina or Georgia, did put together Squid Games. And he filmed the whole thing on YouTube, except for like, obviously no one's, getting killed, but like people are being removed from the game. And the winner wins like I don't know, like a couple $100,000. So immediately, I want to say this happened in December. So some millionaire YouTuber did this, recreated it, and then got millions of streams and kind of bragged that he got more streams or something than Squid Games, but he wouldn't have the originality or like the origin of his game came from this. It's,
Yeah. Figures.
Exactly.
All right. Do you have anything to plug?
No, I don't have anything to plug. Just waiting for new movies to come out. I think probably next week we'll be seeing Jackass Forever. So finally a comedy in the theaters. How about you, Chris?
Nothing to plug. I'm looking forward to Cyrano coming out. I might also see Jackass. It depends on how long this desert of movies continues. I just saw 355 and Sing 2. So I'm digging deep right now for in theater stuff. But I'm watching
I need to find in theater.
Yeah, I'm watching interesting things on streaming. So we'll see how that goes.
Sounds great.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.